All right. Hey there, everybody. Hey everybody, welcome to the tutorial on the overview of the video production switcher. The switcher we have here is the Ross Carbonite Black. It has two MEs. That stands for mixed effects. There's a whole row of activity going on the top section, and you'll see practically a mirror image of that activity taking place on the bottom section of the switcher. What that means essentially is that this is a 2ME switcher, so we can set up effects such as chroma key, split screens, picture-in-picture, and such. Typically you would use the top ME to do that. But for the majority of the work, we're going to be using the bottom ME. Ross calls this ME2, so this would be ME1. This is ME2. Going back a couple steps to the basics, let's start out with this row of buttons right here. I'm going to punch up the Mac. You'll see a little bit better. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to keep myself on the program on camera 1. I'm going to put the Mac on the preview, so you'll see that full display from the camera that's picking up a shot of the multi-viewer. Gives you a pretty good overview. Gives you the program, which is whatever's on switcher on the program bus is what's going to be on the program monitor, and that is going to be what's recorded and shown to the viewers. The preview bus is the bottom row here. The very bottom row is our preview bus, and whatever is selected on preview is going to go on the preview monitor. Okay, preview monitor is designed to give the director a chance to see what is coming up next. What's the next shot? So in this case, the director may say, ready camera 3, in which case we would go ahead and press the button labeled C3. These are each essentially this is like a column of buttons that's associated with the source that is identified in the alphanumeric, I'm sorry, not the alphanumeric, the mnemonic they call it. The mnemonic that's in the digital display here. So the one I'm pointing at right now is C3. So the button on the program bus and the preset bus are all associated with camera 3, and also the key aux bus we're going to talk about in just a second. All right, so right now, again, we've identified all of this row of buttons is the program bus, all of this row of buttons is the preset bus, and we've identified the purpose of the program bus being whatever's on program is what's going to be going on the air. Whatever's on preset is going to be a larger display, as you can see, for the director to see, which will allow him or her to decide whether, in fact, that is the shot they want to go to. And there's some other reasons for putting program in preview we're going to talk about just a second. Let me just touch on this top bus here for a second, literally touching on it. You can see it's labeled key aux custom control. So this row of buttons has three purposes. One of them is to set up keys. Keys are going to be layers of video. I'm going to go ahead and turn on a key right now of what you'll see in CG1, and you can see it says Ben Panza and Thomas Garcia. Those are some lower thirds. The names are on the lower third of the screen. That is a layer, as you can see, like it's keyed over the background, right? So whatever's on the background is what's on the program switcher, the program or the background bus, and the first layer that I have selected to put over that is that one there. Okay, we're going to talk about that more in just a second. All right, so to set up that key, that layer, we need the key bus, so we're going to talk about that very soon. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump over to the transitions, okay? So we are a multi-camera television production course. So that being said, we have to have the ability to have more than one camera. Let me flip my video real quick so I can give you a better view. All right, so we need more than one camera. Well, that's got all fine and dandy, but how do we get between cameras? Sorry. How do we go between camera 1 to camera 2, for example? This is called a transition. The most common transition type that's used in television and film is the cut. So in this case, we're going to preset, let's say, using the correct terminology, if I want to do a cut, I want to use the term ready. All right, so I'm going to say to the technical director, me at the moment, ready, camera 3, at which time I would press camera 3 on the preset bus, and then my directing command would be take camera 3, at which time I would press the button labeled cut, and it performs the transition of going to camera 3. Let me direct myself back to myself. Ready, camera 1, and take. All right, so there I am. And that is essentially, the most common transition type. You're going to use cuts when you're having a conversation with someone else. You're going to use cuts for the majority of your narrative storytelling type projects. And for the most part, keeps things flowing, and you want that type of transition for probably 95 to 98% of your transition types. The other one that gets used a lot is the dissolve. This is a little bright, so I'm going to let me alter the brightness here just a touch, if I can. Exposure down a bit. And for some reason, this side of the switcher is brighter than the other one. All right. So that's a little better, I hope. All right. So the other, you'll see the button selections here. These are, again, this whole area is dedicated to transitions. All right. In particular, this section here is dedicated to selecting the type of transition and also executing the transition. So when we're executing a transition, we are using the cut or the auto trans button. So we haven't talked about auto trans. Look at it real quick. So again, you can't see it because it's kind of overblown. Let me switch off. So you see the dis, that stands for dissolve. So let's look at dissolve real quick. All right. First, I'm going to use the auto trans button. So the director would say something along the lines of preset camera 2 and dissolve. All right. Preset camera 3 and dissolve. Preset camera 1 and dissolve. So that's a dissolve, right? So we see both images appearing simultaneously for a little while until one of them resolves and the other one completely comes into frame. So if you're operating a camera, for example, you may see both of your cameras are going to be live or hot at that time when the transition's being done, the dissolve. So that's a time where both tally lights on the cameras would be on because both cameras are actually live at the same time. All right, so that was the auto trans. Let's look at the other transition types we have here. The wipe is the next one, and the wipe is basically a geometrical shape. Right? There's a circle, there's a diamond, some sort of a square, rectangular, sort of a diagonal. Frequently you might use the fader bar, in particular when you're using wipes, because you might want to control the speed a little bit more precisely and manually. So I could put myself in a little circle right next to, I wonder if I can change the position of the wipe. You would think so, right? Yeah, I think I'm doing it right here. Oh, there I am. I'm using my little, so it's like me and Melody. We're enjoying our little tutor time here. Tutor time with Jim and Melody. Hey guys, how's it going? All right. So I can put myself in a circle. To do so, I have to use the circle wipe function. I can make my border a little softer if I'd like. That's too harsh. Make myself softer. Ooh, it's like I'm a dream. It's like I'm in the dream state of Melody, or maybe she's in my dream state. I don't know, one or the other. I could put myself a little border. I could change my aspect a little bit. I can make myself more eggheady, or more horizontally eggheady. And then I can do other things, such as, and then some, change the color, right? Anyway, there's a lot of fun and funky things you could do with the wipes, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and resolve that. I'm going to say goodbye, Melody. Come back to me. Okay. You can also auto-trans with the wipe. So the last one on the board is the DVE. Actually, not the last one, but it's the last one that's really that usable for us. Media and user don't get used unless we have to pre-program some sort of pre-built like After Effects effect. All right, what is DVE? All right, let me show you what DVE is, folks. Again, we're going to say preset camera 2 and DVE to camera 2. At this point, we go ahead and hit the auto trans. Whoop, that was interesting. Preset camera 3, and let's do that fun and funky one where everything just sucks up in the middle. Whoa! All right, see, that's one of our options. Some other options, I'm just giving you a variety of options here that they have on the switcher. All right, all those things could be done. And you might want to do the slower manual effect as well. Okay. All right. Hey, can I have myself back on camera? Well, certainly, director. What is the proper command to make that happen? Well, I'd like to dissolve back to myself. All right, preset camera 1 for a dissolve and dissolve to camera 1. There we are. All right, so another thing I need to mention is transition duration. Transition duration is the amount of time it takes to do the dissolve that you just saw, or the wipe that you just saw. All right, there's a certain amount of time. Like I said, I could do a slow wipe manually, or I can do a fast wipe, or I can do a slow dissolve manually, or I can do a fast dissolve, right? But I'd like to be able to use that auto trans so I can maintain some consistency. Really easy here on the switcher, really easy. Simple, 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 right? The nice thing about Ross, I think, is they try to make everything fairly intuitive. In this case, if you were to press the dis button, this button that it indicates the dissolve, what that does, I'm going to flip my camera up to the top here and show you guys these little speed buttons. I call them like speed buttons or quick information, quick selection buttons, quick selection. I don't know what the proper name is, but why can't I seem to make my camera work here? How about that? Okay. All right. Anywho, ballyhoo. All right. Hey, it's St. Patrick's Day here, and we are on limited, restricted access shoot. Just for historical purposes, we are in the middle of the coronavirus protocol, and that's why I'm doing these videos, really. Okay, that's why. There we go. I don't like that glare. How about that? All right, there we go. So I could even zoom in here and check this out, folks. I'll zoom in, move it over there. See these suckers right here? These are what I like to call the quick access buttons. They're in the upper left portion of the switcher. You press something such as the disc, these will actually change. Let me press something else. Let me press recall, for example. If I press recall, you see those buttons change. If I press store, those buttons change. If I press wipe, those buttons change. If I press DVE, those buttons change. So you can see all the different types of DVE moves: push, push, squish, squish, squeeze, circle, stretch, tumble. If I press media, I don't know what happens there because I don't use that much. So I'm going back to dis. I just pressed dis. This is what we have, right? 5 FR, 8 FR, all the way up to 60 FR. What does FR stands for? It stands for frames. That's right. I knew you knew that one. Frames is how we measure time in television and film. A film and television image is made up of individual frames. And they go by really, really fast, so it appears as though there's motion. But actually, if you break it down, 24 frames per second is the standard in film. And for a long time, broadcast television standard has been 30 frames per second in the United States. In Europe and other parts of the country, it's been 25. But here in the United States, we're at 30. All right. So if I know that information and I tell you, please make the transition to be about 1 second long, you'd say, okay, I got my quick access buttons over here. I know that 30 frames in a second. I'm going to press the 30. All right. Now, what does a 30 frame transition look like? You may ask yourself. I'll give myself some directing commands such as preset camera 3 and dissolve. Preset camera 1 and dissolve. All right. 30 is pretty good, kind of long. Let's try 5. Let's go down to the lower limit. And let's say preset camera 2 and dissolve. Preset camera 1, dissolve. All right, pretty quick, right? Show you one more time. 5 frames, okay? Math time. If I want to do a 2-second dissolve, how many frames do you think I need to select? 5 seconds? All right. Well, if you answered 60 frames, you are correct. 60 is the correct answer if I want 2-second frame, 2-second transition duration. 60. Again, we have a preset up here. This is what a 60 frame dissolve looks like. Kind of dreamy. So we might use that as a slow transition type if you're doing like a music video, for example. Maybe you have a romantic scene or some sort of dream state you want to project. Actually, dissolves are used for a number of things, right? Also indicates change of time or place, and can also be used for aesthetic reasons, such as kind of creating a softer aesthetic or feeling, right? Preset camera 3. Let's go to that medium shot. Hey, Melody. And let's preset camera 1 and back to me. Okie dokie pokey. So, other things you can do on the switcher. I'm going to jump over here. So you see this, I'm all zoomed in. But this is our display panel that gives us even more options. Remember when I did that border that made it soft and whatnot? This is where I did that. But this is where I can change it to all the way up to 999 frames, or any frame between 0 and 99. 0 is really not a dissolve, that's a cut. All right, so 999, I think I did the calculation this morning, is like 33.3 seconds, I believe. Something along that type. All right, there's some other buttons here. Let me zoom this sucker out because I don't like it. That's zoomed in. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Some other buttons here are I'm going to change this back to quick. I want it 15 frames. 15 frames is how many seconds? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 15 frames is a half of a second. All right. Anyway, this next button over here, this is a little bit more advanced, but that allows you to toggle through different options. Next, all right. Okay, gonna go. All right. Finally, I'm going to go through how to set up your most basic key, which is the keying of a graphic, okay? Say a keying of a text. Keying, what is keying? Again, that is the layering of one video source over another video source. So in this case, our background is going to give us the foundation, and we need to layer things on top of it, and that is called a key. So in this lesson, we're just going to do one key, and we're going to show you how to do it. First, let me kind of reset everything. To reset, you hit Menu and Reset All. It kind of brings everything back into, let me start over here, into default status. Okay, I like to say, "Give Me 3 Steps." Great song by the band Lynyrd Skynyrd from the early 70s. Check it out sometimes. It's got a good story. Give me 3 steps. 3 steps to set up a key. And you have to do it in this order. Okay? Important order sometimes is very important when you're setting up things on a switcher. All right. So the first thing you want to do is decide which key do you want to use. You have up to 4 keys here. Key 1, 2, 3, 4, select, right? So this is where you decide which key you want to use. In this case, I'm going to just go ahead and hit the key 1, which was already selected. Here's where we go over to this key aux bus that we talked about a few minutes ago. And again, you remember each of these buttons is associated with the source that's identified in the mnemonic here. All these buttons are tied to camera 2. All of these buttons are associated with camera 3, right? All these buttons are associated with CG1. And CG1, as you can see from the display on the multi-viewer, is where we have the Ben Panza and Thomas Garcia graphic. So that's what I want to tie these 2 suckers together, right? I just want to kind of tie a little bow, draw a little imaginary line, stick them together. We want these 2 guys to be little best friends, okay? They are going to do the job, right? Key 1, and I want you to be CG1. What kind of key do I want you to be? Well, let's go through the different types. The first one is self-key. I selected off of it so you see it better, but we're going to show you what that self-key looks like, okay? I'm going to turn on self-key, and oops, I went into black. All right. Now I'm going to turn on the key. How do we turn on a key? You use the key insert buttons over here. Key insert buttons, right? I'm going to select key cut and show you what happens. Okay, Ben Panza, Thomas Garcia looks pretty good. I'm going to key cut out of there. I'm going to do it a couple more times. This is key cut. Cut. It's an instantaneous addition of your graphic. Instantaneous. Whereas I go key 1 auto. Key 1 auto allows you to have a bit of a fade in and out effect, right? Awesome, right? Awesome sauce. Okay, so that key, as you can see, has the lettering. The white lettering comes out very nicely. But I know for a fact that I put a border on that graphic. I created a border, a very thick, over-exaggerated border that I wanted to see on that graphic, and I don't see it. That's because it's a self key, and it's essentially what's called a luminance key. Back in the olden days, they just called it a luminance key. It takes the brighter information and it keys it, or it'll take anything at a certain brightness level and layer it over the top, key it. But if it's too dark, like a black border, it'll read that as transparency. This was before the days of linear keys, okay? Linear key is what we have at the auto select button. So this is what we're going to use. We want to use the auto select button for our CG1 or CG2. It is actually a dual channel. We'll talk about that more later. But okay, CG1, let's run through the process. 3 steps. Boom. 1, key 1, or any key you really want to use, but we'll go key 1, and I'm tying it to CG1, and I want to make it an auto select. Once you do that, you'll notice the mnemonic over here changes to CG1, right? If I change the key to something else, watch what happens. Oh, now it's M1. I don't want it to be M1. I don't want it to be M3. I don't want it to be M4. I want it to be CG1, Daddy. I don't know. I just had a little moment like, what's that lady in the movie? I want an everlasting gobstopper, Daddy. I want it now. I want an Oompa Loompa. Okay, lack of sleep. This is what happens. I want my own Oompa Loompa. I'll get you one. Don't worry. Anyway, I get off track easily. Where was I? Oh yeah, auto select. Okay, so you see up there, man, what a detour. Ben Panza and Thomas Garcia now has a very thick and exaggerated black border. You didn't see that when it was a self key, but you do see it when it's a auto select key. Okay. Auto select gives you the border, shadow, drop shadow kind of capability. Luminance key, very limited. You can't get that nice subtlety. Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen and ladies and folks in the Weber spheres, I'm going to wrap that up. I know this has gone on pretty long. Stay tuned. You're going to see there should be a little quiz associated with this video, or not, depending on when you see this video. But thanks for joining me. Feel free to rewind, be kind, watch it again, share it with your friends. All right, great. Talk to you later. We'll talk next about how to set up those keys and the 4 different types of keys a little bit more in detail. All right, thanks. Ciao. Cheers. Wow, 28 minutes.